Good evening, everybody. And here, let me turn this down real quick. There we go. Thank you. Sorry about all that. Yeah, I forgot I have a fish over here. I'm sure you saw him. His name is Mr. Bond, and I have him, and I play music for him when I'm not here. So I want to welcome everybody here to this very special live stream. And Danny Watts knows exactly why I'm here, but the rest of you do not yet. I would assume that some of you have actually read my Facebook post, but I will read it aloud here, and I'll tell you the reason why. Um, if this subject were to ever come up again, um, I would refer people here. I would not reply like this again. I'm not going to do this ever again. This is the one-time shot. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give some explanations of why I do what I do, so on and so forth, and that kind of thing. But I'm not going to explain again all the things I'm going to explain tonight. Okay? And the main reason why I wanted to do this tonight is because Danny Watts told me he couldn't watch this tomorrow, and I understand that. Also, because I'm what which we call, I guess, for lack of better terms, okay, and this is what I'm going to say is that for lack of better terms, this is what I would call a mini vacation, but it's not really a vacation as you would understand the term. This has been done specifically to help me to pass the PTCB test and to write this PTCB Kindle book that I'm trying to write. So I am actually taking the time to do this. I would have done this yesterday, except for the fact that I had to, for the last 2 days, I've had to work with the cable company because my internet was constantly going down and I had to get all that fixed. And it was a royal pain in the butt. And I actually had to string a brand new wire across my house to get the internet to work the way it's working right now. I actually had to get a new box on top of it. So yeah, it was quite kind of a pain in the butt, and that kept me occupied this past weekend. And actually, the reason why I'm doing this so late is I actually worked till 7 o'clock tonight and got off, and I had to go shopping afterwards. So yeah, this has not been really working out. And the thing is, I got a busy schedule tomorrow. I'm going to do a lot of studying, and then on top of that, I've got to um, take care of some other stuff too. And I just don't have the time to do a live stream. Wednesday is a very personal day for me, and I'm just going to take care of what I want to take care of on that day. And then Thursday, I've got to get everything ready to go, including cooking, so that I can serve my Friday shift, and I will, of course, have the weekend off. So as you can plainly see, we're really going to be very busy. I also wanted to let you guys know that I have another presentation that I'm preparing right now that's going to come as quite a shock to you people. So all this is going on at the same time, and therefore my kind of time is kind of limited. So I just decided tonight I would go on the air, and I'm hoping that Danny Watts does show up here. If not, he is more than happy to reply to anything I have to say tonight. And so let's see if I can wake him up. Let's see. All right. So anyway, as you can plainly see, a lot of stuff is going on, and a lot of stuff you don't know. And I'm hoping Danny will be here. I really do. So, whew, what a week it's been. I'll have to say that. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I have two brand new kitties, and I will be videotaping them really, really soon, and you'll be able to see them as well. I have 3 people now on my live stream. That's great. That's fantastic. Um, so what this is really all about is a difference between how I ran YouTube before 2018 and how I'm going to be running YouTube now that 2018 has passed and going forward. And I wanted you guys to see the difference between what I did back then and what I'm doing in the future. Okay. And it's very important that you see this. So I'm just going to give Danny Watts a few minutes to pop in. Uh, like I said, this was kind of an impromptu thing. Um, this also has something to do with SD RAM versus DDR RAM. Danny Watts was correct, mostly correct twice. He actually was able to nail me not once but twice. That's rare. I don't always have people that are able to intellectually challenge me and actually prove me wrong. Yeah, it's rare. It's not that it never happens because Andrew Wyatt made some pretty good arguments himself, and of course, Crazy Josh Cravey, he took me on with ELO, and some of the stuff he said was absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So, and as for the intellectual, Danny Watts is really good at this. D. Lucas 9 has done that to me too. He really has set me straight on several things. So, it's not impossible to intellectually beat me. It isn't. It's difficult, but not impossible. And I had a person comment to me today, and they were saying, "Well, you never apologize for anything." That's not true either. I just don't apologize for what you think I did wrong. I apologize for what I do wrong, but I don't apologize for what you think I did wrong. That's a completely different subject. So it's like, uh, you know, and like I said, right now my time is kind of limited because, like I said, I'm creating that PTCB on a budget book, and I got to get ready for this PTCB test. So my time has been kind of limited. Uh, but that's really what's been going on. But I'm doing this especially for Danny Watts tonight because, quite honestly, he is quite an intellectual. He may not have everything right, but he is an intellectual, and he had some valid thoughts. Just not, I didn't always agree with him. Just because I don't always agree with him doesn't mean his thoughts are valid. As a matter of fact, a lot of what he said was much better than what I dealt with Jeff Bliss. I mean, it's like night and day, literally. Um, so there was this huge difference between Jeff Bliss and this. This was better, much better, and I'm impressed. Even though I don't all agree with what he said, I am impressed. But his arguments were much better, and that impressed me. That's why I'm doing this, because I felt that the arguments were valid and needed to be addressed properly. That's a lot different. I have people that'll come to me and say, "Well, every time you pop up here and you give these responses, they're all negative, and you consider these people, you consider the arguments of these people to be really stupid." And like, not every time is that true. It just so happens that a lot of people, especially trolls, will show up on my YouTube channel, and they will give me the most ridiculous answers to things that I've said. One of the things I deal with a lot is people will come to me, their responses to me, they'll leave them in the comments, or they'll even write me a personal whatever, and they will write these things and say, uh, their responses to me will end up being grammatically incorrect, spelling errors. The arguments aren't even logical. And I'm sitting here going, are you freaking kidding me? So Anyway, so that's what I'm going through right now. Sometimes people respond better than others, and when they respond better, I treat them a lot better. I'm not going to treat Danny Watts the same way as I treated the other idiots, because a lot of their art. And you know what? To prove my point, when I dealt with that Jeff Bliss thing, Leia C presented better arguments than any of the rest of them. And I gave her credit for that. So not always are these bad videos. Oh, I'm going to trash this argument. I'm going to trash that argument. That's not always the case. Sometimes it is, but not always. And Danny Watts has become one of the exceptions. His arguments are pretty valid. Not all correct, but valid. Valid enough for me to come over here and do a heartfelt video like this. So, the other critique I get a lot of times is, well, you're waiting too long to make your presentation. Look, I got a lot of things to say. In a live stream, I try to give you guys everything. When I do a more direct video, and I have heard this too, well, don't advertise so much. Don't advertise so much? I'm not even being paid by YouTube. I have these people that will tell me these ridiculous things. Okay, really ridiculous stuff. They're not paying me. So if you're not paying me, why are you telling me these ridiculous things? That's stupid. You don't like my advertisers, so maybe you should buy some of my products, and then maybe I won't advertise so much. How about that? So I get this too. I get a lot of stuff that's just down. It's not illogical, but just downright stupid. So when I'm dealing with that kind of stuff, of course, everything I say is pretty negative, because I don't like people replying to me with bad spelling, bad grammar, illogical thoughts, lackluster proof, all that. That just really gets on my nerves. Like I said, today's presentation is not like that at all. And you're going to find this to be refreshingly different. You really are. So I don't know if Danny Watts is in here or not. I guess I've given him a couple minutes to try to show up. Let's hope he does. Anyway, if you're out there, Danny Watts, welcome. Thanks for showing up. When you reply to any of this, what I want you to do is consider the difference between what I used to do back in the day and the shift that I had to make in 2018, which means that I do things differently today than I did back then, and I have to do things differently today. That's because there's a new sheriff in town. In YouTube land, there's a new sheriff in town. It has literally gone from the Wild West to Disneyland. That is the huge shift in YouTube. There's no question about it. And when you're dealing with YouTube strategy, you have to think in the terms of Disneyland now instead of the Wild West. Now, some people may not have recognized that this is no longer the Wild West, but that doesn't mean anything. I've recognized it, and I've said, no, we're not going to do anything like that anymore, because it's not the Wild West. Okay, so I'm going to read what I put on Facebook aloud. I'm going to include a few extra details, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so let's begin, and hopefully Danny Watts will show up, and maybe he can give his arguments, whatever. Maybe he's preparing his notes. I don't know. Here I've just wasted about 15 minutes of a live stream. I don't know what he's done or whatever, but anyway, let's just go into this. All right. Now, because I have my notes on Facebook, there's going to be, and I'll try to read a few paragraphs, and I'll come back over here and I'll read a few paragraphs and come back over here. I'll try to watch for comments, whatever. I may not see them all right off the bat. So bear with me. Okay. So let's go back over here. Now, of course, because I'm dealing with Danny Watson, not somebody else, um, was more polite about this. And you have to be. If you got somebody like what I'm dealing with tonight, um, you have to be more polite because this is an intellectual you're dealing with. You're not dealing with somebody that's a real nutcase or a troll or somebody that thinks they're smart and really aren't. This is a really smart person, so of course you have to deal with things a lot differently. Ooh. Okay. Anyway, I'm boring you people to death. Let's just get into this. Now, first of all, I told him that I was really appreciative of how thorough his response was to me. That you want to impress me. If any of you people really want to impress me, give me a thorough response. Don't give me some lackluster, poor proof, incorrect grammar, incorrect spelling, all this garbage. Don't do that. That does not impress me. What he did impressed me. So, yeah, big difference. All right. And Danny Watts was very attentive to everything I said. Literally, he was attentive. And that impresses me. He read my arguments carefully. He thought about the things I said. He told me things that uh, and he discussed everything point per point, which is very impressive. I like that. I really do. That was yeah. So that was first thing I said to him. Now, as attentive and as observant as he was on several things, I also felt a certain level of frustration because there were things I was hoping he would observe and he didn't. But you know, as he learns from me, and I hope he does. I really hope he learns from me because he's impressive enough to do that. So, and there's things that I will learn from him as well. So it's going to be kind of a great match here. So he's a sharp cookie, maybe not as sharp as I want him to be, but he is a sharp cookie. That's a little different story. Okay, so like I said, I had a mixed bag of emotions here. On the one hand, I was impressed by a lot of the things he said. On the other hand, there were things that I thought he didn't observe, he didn't discuss, whatever. And so I'm like, I'm happy but frustrated all at the same time. And sometimes that is not as easy to express as it is other times. Because um, if you're trying to write a comment on a person's video, you don't always see the facial expressions or the hand gestures or anything like that. And sometimes those kinds of things, from facial expressions to hand gestures to anything else, can give you a sense of what, not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it. So you can see that it got a mixed bag of emotions. They're happy at this point, but they're also frustrated at this point, and it makes it easier for you to see that. And even the tone of voice, the tone of voice here is not what you would find on one of my traditional, hey, I'm going to take this argument and throw it in the trash can routines. That's not what I'm presenting here today is completely different. I think you guys can see that. So anyway, but that becomes crucial to all of my arguments that I'll make in a few minutes. So hang on there. Okay. I wanted to let him know, first of all, that I was going to cover this on a live stream because I don't want to cover this topic again. I really don't. I want to go through it one time and be done with it. I'm just not a repetitive person like that. So, the main topic here has been how valuable my video responses are to my channel. In each section of this presentation, I will cover what I said to you previously and what you said to me. I will also cover the things you observed, which impressed me very much, and the things you didn't observe, which frustrated and disappointed me. Okay. I know some of you people are very, very confused right now, but we'll go into this step by step. Okay. Well, where do I begin with all this? Well, let me start by what Danny Watts initially stated. He said, uh, he asked me if I had thought about not making as many response videos as I do. He said they barely get any views, and he thought that they were a wasted effort. And he thought it would be more appropriate if I responded to videos in a comment rather than in an actual video response. Well, as you will, hello, good evening. It's pretty late, so I won't be here for long. That's okay. I'm glad you're here. I actually waited about 15 minutes before I actually did all this, and I'm sure you'll probably watch the beginning of this, and you'll see all the things that and the reason why I had to do all this. So anyway, let's go on here. Um, I rarely receive replies like what you gave to me. I'm that's why I'm so impressed because I rarely receive things. Most of the stuff I receive is just junk, and I've already expressed that earlier. So this is really a interesting response. So I actually took the time, thought carefully about what I would say in my response. So I told you about a friend of mine. This friend of mine, uh, he had dared me to make a video response to Metallica. I actually did it, as you plainly saw. And then he comes up to me. He said, "Well, which Metallica song did you review?" I was like, "Well, no, you've got to watch it to find out." "Oh, come on, tell me." "No, you have to watch that gets me not just a view, and you'll see that later on. You'll see it later on. But it actually gets me the watch time I needed. That's going to be a very important concept as I continue this presentation. Okay. So anyway, the next thing I stated is that right now view counts do not mean very much to YouTube. That is absolutely true. View counts don't count for anything. I get more views from uh, the Jeff Bliss video that I did so long ago than I do from the digit span test or the digit symbol test. It's amazing to me. And do you know why I get all those views? I'll tell you why. Because people lately have been looking up, apparently the Jeff Bliss thing has hit TikTok. And they were trying to look this up from YouTube. And instead of finding the original Jeff Bliss video, they found me instead. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have found me at all. Why is that? And I stated this in my Jeff Bliss response a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It doesn't matter how many weeks ago it's been. But anyway, that's because I didn't give a massively descriptive title. I didn't put more than a couple of little lines in the description box. I certainly didn't tag the dang thing. I didn't give it a special thumbnail. I certainly did not put like I said, a great big description on it. I didn't promote it in any way, shape, or form. And this is also true of a lot of my other response videos. If he says, watch time is only important to YouTube for your partnership qualification. YouTube pays based off of views. I'd say that because of that, views are more important. This one I have to absolutely, once you have all the watch time you need, you don't need to worry about it anymore as long as you keep it up. That's absolutely wrong. And I'll tell you why it's wrong. Because YouTube promotes videos based on two things: watch time and how many comments your video receives. If you do not believe me, you can go watch Roberto Blake and Daryl Eves. Go ahead, watch them. They will tell you this. Okay, and this is part of the reason why I had to change my strategy, because I watched Daryl Eves, I watched Roberto Blake, I watched several of their videos, and now I know the truth. Watch time and comments on a video makes the difference. They will promote it more if you have those two things. Of course, if you got the partnership, they'll promote it even more than that. But yes, they have specifically said that. And if you not watch their presentations, you need to go do that. Go ahead. You will see I'm correct. Okay. Well, if you're playing that game, your response videos receive less comments than your educational videos usually. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And I will show you, like I said, what I did back then and what I'm doing today. Because, like I said, I had a shift in strategy. And that's very important to this conversation. Okay. So, what happened back then and what's happening today? Okay. Now, let's see. Okay. So, I've already mentioned the fact that you did not in your responses ever mention there was a shift in strategy between one and the other, which I clearly mentioned in my comments to you. Um, so hopefully you'll mention that distinction tonight. Um, the final thing I said to you in my initial response is all of my students could learn valuable things from my response videos, and this is also true from those who have ever watched my um, it, I'm talking about the people that I've actually responded to, which I was kind of hoping they figure out, but they didn't quite. I'm sorry, they didn't. But what can you learn? Okay, from my response videos, and I'm talking about the older ones, not the ones today, but the older ones. So of course, you could learn stuff from the more modern ones too. Observation skills is very, very important. In a job, if you are not observant, you will not hold your job very long. I didn't know about that before. What does it matter? They still have the same basic problem. They cause controversy. You're reading. No, 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 I'm not. And I'll prove that. And I'll prove that. Okay, so bear with me. The first thing is observation skills. The second thing is when people hear these kinds of questions that I ask, they are supposed to, and they don't always do this, and that's very disappointing, but they are supposed to improve their videos by making things in their videos that I can ask questions about. See what I mean? So it's not just that I want them to get their observation skills, but I want them to actually improve their videos so I would have more things to ask about. And that interaction is what causes their channels to flourish. Then why do 72% of your popular video responses over 1,000 views have more dislikes than likes? I'll get there. I'll get there. Okay, so the first thing is I'm teaching my students to be more observant. The second thing is I'm trying to teach the people I'm replying to how to have more interesting things in their videos, which will cause people to watch more. If they have such interesting things in that particular video, they'll watch more of the other video and so on and so forth. That's the way it works. Okay. Now then, let's go on. Another thing is that I'm trying. There was a third thing I was trying to do. It's the interaction part. That's the third and most important thing is showing that you are a personable person to work with on YouTube. Okay. In other words, when you respond to me, I'm actually going to take the time to respond to you back in kind. That's right. That makes you personable. And the more personable you are, the more likely people are going to watch you. You are clearly demonstrating that. Another thing that you can get out of this is, like I said earlier, when you have facial expressions, when you have hand gestures, that kind of thing, it can tell you a lot about what the person may be feeling, what the person may be thinking. Whereas if it's just a simple comment, they may not be able to tell that. I have a major question. If you're such an expert on YouTube, why is your channel very small? 10 years on YouTube should have gotten your channel big considering how much of an expert you are. I'll answer that. I will answer that for you. Okay, but just hang on. So what was your next response to me? You said, I meant to say people may find it unusual for somebody to respond to their video with another video. Okay. Here's the thing. I do agree with the statement, facial expressions, body movement. Thank you. See, we actually have agreement here. This is why I'm responding to you differently than I was responding to other people. Okay. Now, they shouldn't have found this unusual. And here's the reason why. Before I did a whole bunch of my response videos, guess who did? There were things called the reply girls. I don't know whether any of you remember that or not, but there were these reply girls. They were replying to every single video on the air. Literally, thousands of people knew this. They knew they were going to get these video responses from the reply girls. As a matter of fact, I replied to the reply girls. Did you realize that? Oh, yeah, I actually replied to them. And they replied to me back, which was even more amazing. And one of the reasons why I did that reply to the reply girls is because I knew they were annoying channels that just didn't quite understand why the reply girls were doing what they were doing. So I wanted to distract them and bring them to my channel so they'd reply to me instead of to the other channels that didn't really want them around. I did that deliberately. Never thought about that, huh? That's a genius move. Not exactly the best move for a YouTube channel, but it was a genius move. It was clever. It was innovative. Yeah, you never thought about that, huh? So to stand there and say it was unusual for somebody to ask questions, no, it wasn't unusual at all because the reply girls were doing it. And I just kind of, in a different way, followed their footsteps. But my intention was to present more brilliant material. The reply girls, when they did their responses, they weren't asking questions about videos or whatever. They were just giving these really elongated compliments, which I thought were boring and unnecessary. And that's why people didn't like them very much. They weren't adding anything to the conversation. I actually was. Unfortunately, these people, and I was dealing with intelligent people. Okay, I was dealing with college-age people for the most part. They should have immediately realized that. Yeah, I'm glad we can at least have respectful conversation. I'm really upset how rude people can be online. It's just sad. Okay, you'll be right back. Okay, fine. Take your time. Take your time. Okay, but like I said, I had conversations with really intelligent. They were supposed to be intelligent people. They should have realized this. Just knowing what the reply girls did, they should have known what I was trying to do. But they didn't. And that's what took me by surprise. But it really didn't take me that much by surprise. Because just before I went onto YouTube in the first place, I actually met a young lady that it was a friend of one of my coworkers. Okay, not a friend, it was a relative. I'm sorry, it was a relative of one of my coworkers. She was about to become a freshman in high school. And when I asked her about on-off switches and how they worked, she couldn't tell me. And that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. I went on the air immediately and I was like, I'm going to start telling you people stuff. But here's the thing. When I first went on the air, it was a week before anybody watched any of my videos. And I thought, if they're just like this one I just dealt with, we got a long way to go. They're not realizing what I'm giving them. You say, well, wait a minute. Wasn't there a little more to that story? Yes, there was. You see, I had just developed my own text-to-speech software, but I couldn't get it sold to anyone. Why? Because people were afraid of their computers. And I was getting sick and tired of seeing people being afraid of their computers. It was ridiculous. So I decided to put a few little web tutorials or computer tutorials on the air to get people to be less afraid of their computers so they would buy my software. That didn't work too good. It really didn't. And as I was getting replies from people, And it took a while to get them because it was months before I got really good replies that I could actually work with. I was seeing grammar errors and spelling errors and illogical thoughts and whatever. And I was like, don't you people know anything? You're supposed to be college educated people and you don't seem to know anything? You gotta be kidding me. And so that's where all this started. It's like, okay, we gotta change the whole platform here. I'm not getting any ratings and we gotta do something about it. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I did all the parades. And then after that, it was the looking for Lincoln signs. I needed something to draw people to my audience. You know what? I think I'm starting to get your side. I'm starting to get what you mean. I still have some disagreements, but I can see your point now. See, that was the thing. I was desperate at that time. I needed to get people on this channel, and I needed to get intelligent people on this channel. You see, one of the things I was thinking was, if I could get some college people to recognize what I was doing for them, they would then spread the word to their high school counterparts. Let me tell you something. When I graduated from high school, I still kept in contact with a few people that they were still going to high school while I had graduated. As a matter of fact, some of those people I keep in contact with. Okay, all right. Well, I have to go. I'll watch the rest of the video later. Goodbye. I'm sorry you had to go. Thanks for tuning in. But I getting the point here. I thought, well, okay, I will get these college people to transmit to their high school counterparts because they probably were still friends with them, or maybe they had family members that were still in high school. And then the word would spread like wildfire as to what I was doing. That didn't quite work the way I'd hoped. So I just didn't count on these college people being this utterly. I thought they were smarter than this. They weren't. So anyway, I'll go on with my response anyway. Then you went on to say, for trivial questions, it's illogical to do that. Now you're beginning to see what was going on. However, I get why you would do what that for something important like your video response to Jeff Bliss and Amanda Kaufman. Well, I'm glad you understand those two because, man, wow. Before I go on, let me say this. Why did I specifically pick Jeff Bliss? Why? Okay, I had been introduced to Common Core, and when I saw what Common Core was, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible." But I had also in school had been taught about the Roman Empire, that made me aware of something called honor repost challenges. And when these kids watching this Jeff Bliss video, you should have seen the comments. They were actually regarding this kid as a hero. This kid's no hero. And I can now prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he is no hero. I can prove this. You know what he's doing now? He owns a hotel. He bought a bar. I don't know if he still has that or not. But he's rich. Did he go into teaching? If he was so upset about how the teacher was teaching him, why didn't he pursue the teaching career that he needed to pursue? Why? Because he didn't care as much as they thought he did. And when you start realizing what he did, I don't know if he ever did anything for the educational system. I didn't do that much research, but he didn't appear to be doing much of anything. That's your hero? I don't think so. I'm your hero. When I made a presentation about high school packets, I didn't even rely on my credentials. I actually relied on another teacher's credentials. He had made a formal presentation about high school packets and how they da. And so, therefore, okay. So, like I said, and you're saying, well, what's the da? What I'm saying here is that this teacher wrote about high school packets, and I took the key points he was making and put it in my presentation and said, according to him, not even me, according to him, these high school packets operate in a certain way, and I disagree with him just as much as he does. I'm almost as smart as this guy is. Okay, you got to keep in mind, I've had 2 years of COBOL. Now, for those of you who do not know what COBOL is, it is a computer language, an old computer language. It is the common business oriented language. To do this, to program in that language, you had to know English, accounting, computer tech, and high end mathematics. If you didn't know those things, you couldn't program in this language, period. So I mean, I was an expert in 4 things automatically. And I've only gotten better since then. So there you are. That is why. That is the number one reason. And you have to be really observant to do this. To program in that language, you have to be really observant. That is why that these people, when they come their arguments to me, they fail to make their points because I am that smart. And they don't realize that. They don't realize what kind of a hurricane that I am. And I will take their best arguments and throw them in the trash because I'm that good of an expert. Okay, so anyway, let's continue on here. These were questions I was hoping you'd ask me. I was hoping you'd ask, why did you suddenly shift your policy on video responses? Uh, what was the difference between YouTube of the past and YouTube of today? Well, I've already stated that back then it was the Wild West, and today it's more like um, Disneyland. Okay, but that's not just the only difference. And why didn't I was hoping that you would finally notice the shift in my video response presentations. I have actually shifted the way I do things. Uh, and then I wanted you to ask why I shifted my strategy and so on and so forth. Um, and that's why I was a little disappointed. I was hoping you'd ask that, but you didn't. Anyway, when I responded to you again, I wanted to point out several things that I wasn't sure you observed. Um, I wanted to talk about the hashtags, the fancy titles, that kind of thing. You see, when I have my students, I want to make sure that they have learned observation skills and they have comprehension levels that are much higher. And that way, when they go out to these video responses, they begin to realize what I was doing. Okay. But they will appreciate it. They will first figure out that there's a shift that has happened between back then and 2018, and they will see that I had better reasons for doing what I did than just I wasn't just randomly responding to anybody. I was picking very specific people. I promise you that I really was. Okay, so you'll see a lot of things. You'll become more observant. You will put better details in your videos that would cause me to ask you questions about your videos, which means I'll be more attentive. I mean, look at the movie Airplane. Have you ever seen the movie Airplane? You have to be really attentive to watch that movie. And the same thing with the Naked Gun movies. If you're not that attentive, you're not going to catch all the jokes. I promise you. So, if nothing else, I'm training you how to watch those movies. Really. Same concept. So, anyway, let's go on here. Another question is, why haven't I mentioned any of this stuff before now? Because I thought you guys would figure it out. I wanted you to figure it out on your own. I figured eventually you might even ask, but that hasn't happened for years. I also really thought that nobody was paying attention to anything I was actually saying in any of my videos. I really didn't for a long time. I mean, I went months when I first started my channel with barely any feedback at all. There you go. So I wasn't sure just how much you were learning from me. And I need to put some of you to the test to find out if you were really learning anything or not. Okay. All right. And like I said, why bother stating something just randomly if I knew nobody was going to listen to me anyway? That would really would be illogical. Okay. And what was the next question I felt you should have asked me? But in your response to me, you said that you did these things you did these response videos to help people acquire a YouTube partner program. I actually did. And in a way, that's exactly how it all started. It had a dual meaning here. The first thing was I wanted to get more attention to my channel, but at the same time, because I had already had a partnership, okay? And whoever's in here, thanks for coming in. Let me know who you are, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, okay, I already have a partnership. Okay. In 2011, I acquired a partnership. And how did I do it? Now, this is important. Okay. In those days, long ago, there were two ways you could get a YouTube partnership. Number one, you could apply for it. And a lot of times you got it. But that meant a human being had to actually inspect your channel to see if it was worthy for a partnership. The other way was you got 100,000 lifetime views. If you got 100,000 lifetime views, they sent you the partnership letter automatically. And that's exactly what happened to me. I acquired 100,000 lifetime views. All of a sudden, I got a letter saying, you're in. That's what these people were trying to achieve back then. They wanted YouTube to send them a letter automatically saying, hey, you're in the program, let's go. Now, I do want to caution you on something because a lot of people are going to say this. Well, YouTube was handing out partnerships like candy, and they were, okay? But those were the things they were telling to us at that time. In 2011, that's what we were told. You get 100,000 views, you'll get an automatic letter. Otherwise, you have to apply. I got my 100,000, and I got in. So if they shifted their policy between then and I would say about 2016, 2017, they didn't tell us this. Matter of fact, their YouTube studio was pretty bad back then. They didn't tell us a whole lot of anything. It wasn't until I found Roberto Blake that I began to learn anything about YouTube. Really, honestly, I didn't know a thing. Nobody was talking. I was bad. I assure you, we didn't know what we could or could not do or anything else. It was literally the Wild West. Like I said, back then it was not a big deal. But then the new sheriff came in town, and boy, that changed everything. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay. So I decided when I got my partner program that I would actually go to the effort of trying to help them acquire the partner program without having to apply for they were going to acquire the partner program without having to apply for it. And at the same time, it was going to increase my ratings, which would cause YouTube to pay me more. Well, eventually I can retire. I can just retire off this YouTube money. It'd be just wonderful. I don't need a ton, not really. I just need a little bit. It was fun. And then, like I said, on the flip side of it, it was going to get them a partnership, and then they would work with me, and we just grow together. Everybody in a happy ship, we're all going to grow together. Didn't quite work that way. Okay. So So one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is that when you replied to me the second time, you didn't mention anything about the word anachronism, which I actually brought up, because that um, a lot of things that were happening back then are not what's happening today, and I've stressed this over and over in this video is that things back then were a lot different than they are today, and my strategy was different than it is today. So I was kind of disappointed that you didn't mention the word anachronism and that you gave me a clear understanding that you knew what I was talking about. Now, I will admit that in my response to you, which apparently has now disappeared, and I'm sorry for that, I was actually tired and I actually made an error. Uh, you were not only correct, but you were also observant to point out that Justin Bieber had his partnership in 2014. That is true. What I was trying to say is that people were trying to follow the pattern of Justin Bieber. They wanted to actually become a partner the way he did. I mean, they sent him a letter. Boom, you're in. They sent me a letter. Boom, you're in. I achieved the 100,000 views and got in. He achieved his 100,000 views. He got in. And they wanted to do the same thing. And I cannot tell you how many YouTubers were trying. They really were. It was amazing to me. But anyway, so let's go on here. I was, however, correct in saying that YouTube Studio app was in its infancy, and I already mentioned that. We couldn't tell about our watch time. They didn't have any feature like that. And they didn't really tell us very much about our videos, why our videos weren't doing very well. And I'm talking the educational ones. My educational videos were doing very badly. And I had people saying, well, it's your lighting or it's your sound or whatever. You know, I approved a lot of things and it still did not go well. So, uh, and like I said, a lot of us content creators did a lot of crazy things back then to try to get people to watch us. They were creatives to be sure, but I don't know that they were always wise. And even I didn't do all the wise things I probably should have. Um, and a lot of these people were doing these crazy challenges. I don't believe in these crazy challenges. There was the cinnamon challenge and this challenge and that challenge. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of that. That was not the way I was going to go get views. Well, at the time, one of the people that was subscribed to me was Hemi Jeep 19, and Hemi Jeep 19 started running a comment wars contest. And he ran it 3 times, and the people were just going comment, 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 and that's how they won. Well, I didn't think that was very fair, so I decided to have my own video response wars contest. And that's what I did. And that is what really started the road for all of my video responses. Now that I actually had the video response wars before the reply girls. Okay. So anyway, I thought, well, okay, I need to get people. I thought, well, if I were to reply to some of these people's videos and they replied back, I would get them to go into the video response wars contest where I knew people were going to watch their videos. Okay, let me show you the pattern again. I find a video, I respond to it with a bunch of questions. They answer the questions in a video response, and then I tell them, hey, I got this video response wars contest, and people actually watch this contest. I want you to enter your videos into that contest. Then they would enter the videos in the contest, and that's how they would get people to watch them. Clever strategy, huh? That's what I was trying to achieve. Okay. So the first thing I knew that if I was going to run a video response wars contest, I had to have contestants. So I sought out smart people. Now, psychologically, it is true. Yes, I have talked to guys and I've reviewed some of their videos, that kind of thing. And there you go. And I got some contestants that way. But it is more likely that females will talk to a guy than a male will talk to a guy. That's just a psychological fact. You want to go look it up, go fine, do so. Females are just naturally more talkative than males. Now, granted, I've had guys on here. I talk to Crazy Josh Cravey all the time. Survival on a Budget Made Easy. Boink the Clown. So it's not like I have never talked to a guy. There's lots of guys that pop up over here, including you, Danny Watts. I've talked to you too. So it's not that I never talk to guys. It's just that gals are more receptive to my conversations than guys are. All right. So I had to benefit my contestants as well as benefit myself, and that's why I designed the thing the way I did. So that I thought, okay, if I'm going to try to get contestants into my contest, I had to offer them a something that would be valuable to them, and that was a chance at the YouTube partnership. Like I said, I was trying to improve the quality of their videos while at the same time get them to be more observant, that kind of thing. Okay. And as I was getting them into the partnership program, I was also then therefore going to um, get more money for myself. So everybody was going to get a benefit out of this. And the thing is, I know that the gals are struggling more to get in the partnership program than the guys were. I don't know how much more they were struggling, but I know it would have been harder for them than it was for the guys. So I was trying to help them out. I thought that they would really realize what I was trying to do, and it would be a win-win for everybody. I just wasn't counting on the fact that they didn't quite get this. Now, I will grant you that if you leave a comment on somebody else's video, they'll most likely answer it. I have no problem with that. The problem is that even if they do answer your comment, let's say you leave a list of questions for them and they answer it in the comment, the thing is that they may not ever check out your channel. And that's what I ran into a lot. Also, I tried to do that kind of stuff, and boy, they'd answer my questions all right, but they would never go check out my channel to see who I was. I ran into that more than once. So that we needed responses, video responses. That would force them to come to my channel, literally. Okay, now, so now you're understanding the whole strategy. Another thing is that back then you were limited to how many words you could actually put in a comment on a video. That is not the case today. You can write a whole book if you wanted to, but back then you couldn't put more than a few hundred words, if that much, into a comment. See what I mean? So there were definite differences. Another thing I've run into, and this is something I have discussed with more than one person, a lot of these people don't read anything other than memes. That is a fact. And so I run into that too. And so for you to have that expectation that they're actually going to read the comment just because it was sent to them, not always. And if they didn't like the handle that you had, they might even not even read the comment at all. So that's something else. All right. Give me just a second. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk some more. Okay. That's better. Okay. So back to the presentation. So now you're seeing one, I was trying to get them in the partnership program because they didn't want to apply for it. They wanted the letter to be automatically sent to them. Second was trying to help them improve their video, which in turn would cause them to be more likely candidates for the partnership program back at that time. 3 was to improve their observation skills. And 4, it was also to help my ratings so I would make more money off the YouTube partner program myself. There you go. Okay. Before I continue, I'm pleased that we found some common ground. You and I both acknowledge that viewer feedback is crucial for our YouTube channels to grow. I also see that you agree with me that YouTubers should receive video responses from other YouTubers should see those responses as compliments. Why should they see them as compliments? A, because I actually took the time to watch the video, the whole video. B, because I actually took the time to think about what you said and did in that video. C, I actually took the time to write down specific questions about your video because I noticed certain things about it. And I said, okay, I'm going to ask about those kind of things. And then I actually took the time to get on the air, record a video, send it to you, and say, hey, I checked this out. That's a compliment. Especially if you're trying to pursue the partner program, you should see that immediately as a compliment. When those reply girls were replying to you, as much as they were annoying, and yes, they were, at least your channel was getting attention. That you knew that at least somebody watched your video. But unfortunately, they didn't watch your whole video. I did. That should have told you something. And like I said, when I was aiming at college age females, I thought they were bright enough to figure all this out, especially after having the reply girls. They didn't. And that kind of ticked me off. I cannot tell you how ticked off I was when I found that out. I figured it out pretty quickly, but I was ticked. Okay. I also see that you and I agree that YouTubers should. Okay, no. Okay. But once again, you referred to my video view counts instead of my watch time. I can tell you right now, in the old days, video view counts were everything. Now it's watch time. It's watch time and comments received on a video. That is what it is. And of course, I've already told you to watch Daryl Eves and Roberto Blake, because they'll tell you that. So this is part of the reason why I shifted my response strategy, because getting watch time became the most important thing. Like I said, my Jeff Bliss videos, the watch time on my Jeff Bliss videos right now is higher than anything on my Digispan test, Digisymbol test. I'm not kidding you. They're higher. Not the views, but the watch time hits much higher. Couldn't believe it. All because I found him on TikTok. Okay. I'm also pleased to see that you and I agree that content creators who receive video response should send a video response to the content creator who responded to them. And this is what Boston Book Betty actually did. She actually sat down, she recorded a video response for me, and then we had a conversation back and forth for a while. The Beautiful Golden Hour has not done that yet, but I know that Survival on a Budget Made Easy has done that. Crazy Josh Cravey has done that, and I wish more would get in that pattern. I really do. Okay. All right. I actually say if you're going to pursue the YouTube partner program, you should respond with a video response to anybody who sends a video response to you. Know that took time out of their day to do that. Not only the time to watch the video, but to create creative questions, innocuous questions. You don't want to ask them too personal stuff, so you want to have innocuous questions, unless, of course, they're older, and then personal may not be such a big thing. But when you're dealing with the younger crowd, you want to make sure you don't ask too many non-innocuous questions, that kind of thing. So, like I said, if you want that partnership, you should respond with a video response to the person who's responded to you. Now, we'll go ahead and focus on two more things. The first thing is the Mary Cake video. You had watched my Instagram Mary Cake, and I had told you initially that I had reviewed one of her wedding photos, and I was a little mistaken about that. Mary Cake is a model. Okay, if you go to her Instagram page, you'll see that she's a very beautiful model. And in 2011, she got married. And I did see the wedding photos, but that wasn't the photo I reviewed of her. I saw a different photo, and I thought, well, this is kind of cool. Boom, we did it. Now, you say, okay, well, why didn't you move that particular video on all your Instagram videos to your Speed Learner Instagram account? Because I have 3 accounts, not just one. I have 3 of them. Why didn't you move it from uh, the main YouTube channel to that other account? Well, that was the initial plan, believe it or not. I wasn't going to have all the responses on the main Speed Learner channel. That wasn't going to happen. I actually was going to have 2 channels. One that was going to be devoted to education. The other one was going to be devoted to reviews. That's why I set it up. And it got partner 2. So like, okay, fine. You didn't even achieve 100,000 views. Now you got a partner 2. I figured that's probably because I was partnered with the other one. So you just went ahead and gave me the partnership on the other one. Well, now we're going to partner a group of channels, not just one. Okay, fine. But here's what happened. And I'll explain this. It wasn't long after I set up that Instagram channel that we were given the option of something called a pay-per-view. We could set up a pay-per-view channel. This is cool. All right. So we'll have 3 channels. We'll still the main Speed Learner channel. That'll just remain for the partner program. Then we've got this thing called Speed Learner Plus. And what I will do is I will put extra content on the Speed Learner Plus. People will have to pay me to watch that content because it was a direct pay thing. If you wanted to watch the Speed Learner Plus channel, you had to pay me to see the videos. And then, of course, I'd have the Instagram views, and I would separate from the main Speed Learner channel all those reviews and shove them over to the Instagram review because I thought, well, people are going to be less likely to watch those reviews, those response videos, than they are of my educational ones. And I wanted to put that to the test, saying, okay, are they going to watch more of my educational videos or my response videos? So I wanted to separate out and see what would happen. Well, this third channel would be devoted to pay-per-view not movies, but videos. I would give instruction on medical terminology, and I would write Kindle books, and I'd put the audio versions of them on my pay-per-view Speed Learner Plus channel, and I would just go on and on and on. But here's the thing. In order to have it, I had to have 1,000 subscribers on that channel. They didn't tell me that. Well, when they finally did tell me that, I was like, you mean to tell me in order for this thing to become a pay-per-view, I had to have 1,000 subscribers over there? Okay, well, I didn't want to put my educational videos over there. So I said, okay, I'll put my response videos over there, and I'll put 1,000 of them, and 1,000 people will subscribe to that, and boom, there you go. I would have my pay-per-view. Sounded like a great deal, huh? Well, it was. And then all of a sudden, YouTube says, no more pay-per-view. But before they did that, okay, it's going to take forever and a day to get this thing to 1,000 subscribers so I can have my pay-per-view. Well, on my original Speed Learner channel, I already had 1,000 subscribers. So, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll put these pay-per-view videos on my regular Speed Learner channel, and they'll have to pay me to see those particular videos. And then one day, I'll just shift those videos from the regular Speed Learner channel to the pay-per-view. Just have all isolated on pay-per-view. Then YouTube said, no more pay-per-view at all. So they shifted all the videos that I had actually made, 3 medical terminology videos. I had the Kia's Logic as an audio book, and I thought I had something else, but maybe I didn't. But I had plans to do it. And all those videos got shifted to private. And that's where they are to this day. They're all private. Nobody will ever see them. Because I have not figured out a way to make them as a pay-per-view. Probably what will happen is that I will make a Kindle book. And that'll be the medical terminology in a Kindle book, as well as this PTCB on a budget. And as for the audiobooks, I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever be able to do an audiobook like that. So until I figure something out, that's it. But that was just the first shift right there, was the elimination of the pay-per-view. That was not the end of the shifts, believe me. But anyway, like I said, when I had those video responses, I did two things. One, I was looking for videos that I could object to. And this is what Nicole Arbor did, only she went way beyond where she should have gone. I began to realize just how stupid people were, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the stupidest arguments, and I'm going to out-argue those. Because what she was arguing about was a completely different thing than what I was arguing about. I'm trying to be intellectual here. I don't want to be like she. You know what she was doing. I didn't want to follow in her footsteps. I mean, yes, it's one thing to out-argue somebody, but you have to find something that is so obviously stupid that most people will agree with your point and not theirs. And what Dan Brown presented when it came to expletives, that was so obvious. I was able to do that. Another one I did was, of course, the Jeff Bliss thing. That was so obvious that anybody with half a brain would figure that one out. And there was also one by Copper Cab, and I replied to it too. But the thing is, it became so controversial, and the responses were so bad that I finally had to take it off the air. I couldn't have it on the air, but I did put it in the Kindle book. My first Kindle book, I had it in the air, and you can see the argument for yourself. You can see what I did. But that was the first set of video response. The other ones, like I said, it was trying to reply to college ladies. Now, when I replied to these college ladies, guess what happened? At that time, the YouTube algorithm was not doing what it is today. So it was sending me videos, recommended videos from high schoolers as well as college people. Okay, and so I'll check those out too. Now, the other way I found some people is when I dealt with Megan Parkin and also Samantha Maria. Her handle used to be Beauty Crush. And as for Megan Parkin's case, she was giving advice to high schoolers. She wasn't in high school anymore, but she was giving advice to high schoolers that I thought was pretty bad. And I wanted to show those particular high schoolers how bad her advice was. The other one was Beauty Crush. She had made a video about shyness, which for the most part I agreed with. But then she was saying, well, it's okay to be shy, but she never mentioned social anxiety disorder. That's when I went after her video. And later on, I got so mad at the fact that she didn't even respond to me that I finally made a beauty playlist to compete with her. Like, oh, I'm not going to let this go. I'm just not. This is academically wrong, and I'm going to deal with it. There you go. But anyway, like I said, these were college people. I had taken them on academically and trashed all their arguments right down the toilet. But between YouTube recommending these high schoolers to me and also the comments responding to them, I was able to find some of these high schoolers as well. And I responded to them too. Because these people were public people. They were trying to make a name for themselves, and they were trying to pursue the partner program like everybody else. And when I saw their videos, I was like, okay, I'm going to respond to them too. Because I felt that if they really realized what kind of educational system I had, which was far different than Common Core, that they would actually watch my educational videos and they would start learning from me. That, of course, didn't happen the way I thought it would. But anyway, so now that we've established about the Mary Kate video, and you now know that she actually was a married lady that is a model and whatever, now we have to focus on her name's Tiffany. Now, as I just said, I found her name's Tiffany because I was reviewing college videos and trashing some of their arguments, and that was recommended to me. And I actually watched it and decided to go ahead. Now, what about the comment that was left on my response to her name Tiffany's video? Again, this is where observation comes in. When I do a video response, I actually leave a comment on the video that I'm responding to saying I've actually did a response to this particular video. Her name's Tiffany video was watched almost immediately, but no reply. And there wasn't a reply to this video until about 3.5 years later. So I looked at the person who had actually replied to me, and I went over to their channel. And what did I find? A channel full of Minecraft videos. So what the person in the comment was claiming, I'm telling you, it wasn't true. I'm almost positive that was a troll that came over, found my video, and then tried to splatter me. So that was a troll. And I get a lot of those on my channel. I get a lot of trolls. And they say all kinds of disgusting things at me. And so that YouTube actually removes. And the ones they don't remove, I remove myself. It's like, it's garbage. Boom. All right. So now you know what happened there. All right. So what is my final point? Well, 2018 did come around. I lost my partnership program. Why? Because I didn't have enough watch time. I had the subscribers. Boy, I had that down pat, but the watch time was gone. Like, well, that's kind of sad. But a lot of other things changed as well. We couldn't talk about everything we wanted to talk about. We couldn't do half the things we were doing. I thought, well, dang, I can't even make these video responses because half the channels that I was responding to just disappeared overnight. Literally, they were just gone. They couldn't have the partner program, so they were gone. Or maybe they just, I actually found out that some of the channels disappeared mainly because of the made for kids rule now. Okay, they had that rule too. You remember that? That affected all my parades, all of them. Matter of fact, there are some people that literally cannot get on YouTube right now because of the made for kids rule. Nice, huh? Mm-hmm. And like I said, there were certain topics you couldn't talk about anymore, or all this other stuff. Was like, okay, I got to do something. Because if I can't respond to these people, how am I ever going to get them in the video response board or do anything else with them? How can I teach them observation skills or anything? So 2018 changed it all. Right then and there, I had to change everything. So as Daryl Eves talked about the partner program disappearing and what we could do about it, I looked through the comments section of that video and I found hundreds of channels that really wanted people to review them and interact with them, you know, that kind of thing. And I thought, I'll reply to them because they really want their partnership back, or they may want their partnership program or whatever. I'll reply to their videos because these people are hungry enough to get it. They really want it. And they're willing to put the effort into doing it. That's what they say. We'll do whatever it takes to get our partnership. Well, hey, you're the kind of people I want to find. You're smart enough to know what a video response is all about, and you know why I'm doing it. When I reply to something like Jeff Bliss, it's because of principle. I find something that I feel that if anybody learns this, it's going to be erroneous, and they're going to fail in life, all because they're getting poor advice, and I will not tolerate that. That is something I won't tolerate on my channel. You will not be giving people poor advice. I will challenge it. Okay? Now, the third thing that happened that shifted my strategy was I found a social media site called Gab. I started talking to these people. Man, are they real? Whoa, they're really nice people. And so I thought, okay, why just send out random video responses when I can interface with people who really want to be on the partner program, when I can find people that um, uh, are getting poor advice, and I can give better advice, and also I can get on Gab. But there was another thing that happened too. I had a little entanglement. This would be an academic entanglement with pentatonics. You know what? These people think that the 70s were done a certain way, and they're not. I lived the 70s, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I lived the 80s too, and I'm telling you that what they were presenting is not the accurate picture. So, okay, I'll just start reviewing songs. And eventually that led to reviewing movies. Since Siskel and Ebert weren't around anymore, I thought I'll review movies too. So that was the shift in my strategy. And I thought, okay, now that we can control our thumbnails, which we could not do before 2018, now that we can control, we can have bigger comments, we could actually, uh, and there was a lot of things we could actually do. I thought, okay, I'll shift my strategy. I'll put hashtags in the videos I want people to watch. I'll put descriptions, big time descriptions, in the videos I want people to watch. I will also put cards. Those cards were not available back then. They are now. Put the cards, put the end screens, put the thumbnails, fix all that, fix everything up. And then I thought, okay, we'll do one other thing. We'll advertise this on Gab and see if they'll look these videos up. And they did. I thought, finally, we're getting somewhere. So that was the shift in strategy. Instead of sending out random video responses like the Reply Girls did, I had a more effective strategy. And I learned the art of hashtags. I learned all of this. Will I continue doing video responses? Well, now that the Speed Learner Plus channel is kind of a deadwood thing, and the same thing with the Instagram reviews, it's half of that. Now you say, well, wait a minute. You did all these responses way back when, and the purpose of these video responses is not being served anymore. Why do you leave them up? Why do you do that? Well, I honestly think, like I said, I was really thinking, uh, if my students, after learning all of my good videos, were to take the time to watch these other videos now that they could find them, and just peruse through them. One is history. It's what I used to do. I'm not ashamed of it in any way, shape, or form. It's just it is what it was. It was what it was, and you can just appreciate the history of it. And like I say, you learn observation skills, and maybe you can actually put more interesting things in your videos, which would cause people to watch more often. And maybe you could put certain interesting things throughout the video, which would cause people to have more watch time with you. That's why I leave them up there. There are some videos I had to finally pull down because we have the YouTube police now, and I just couldn't risk them anymore. But the rest of them are just old pieces of history from days gone by. Appreciate it for what they are. I don't even get any comments most of the time. So there you go. You can appreciate them for what they were, why I did them, and so on and so forth. But like I said, today's videos will be different now, and for obvious reasons. How many video responses will I do now? Not as many. But I'll tell you, it does take less time, even though it's not a lot less time. It does actually take me less time to produce a video response than to actually produce some of these educational videos like Math Doesn't Suck. Math Doesn't Suck is actually easier to produce than, say, the parametric functions of Bezier curve video. See what I mean? So, will I do video responses? Even though Danny Watts has put up a voting thing, and if you want to vote whether I have video response or not, go ahead. I'm interested to see the feedback. But the thing is, in the end, I'm going to continue doing them, but the focus will be radically different. I will find, and another thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be video responding to people who are already subscribed to me because they are not watching me. Okay, and sending out something in the community tab doesn't seem to have any effect. So I've got to get their attention. And this is one of the best ways to do it for me. So I'm going to go back to my original subscribers, respond to their videos to show them I'm actually watching them and paying attention to them in the hopes that they'll do the same thing for me. I'll go back to that Daryl Lee's video and find people that really do want to have video responses. That's more subscribers and, more importantly, more watch time. And hopefully more comments too. Nice comments for a change. And then, like I said, if I find something that I totally disagree with, I will respond to it because I'm a man of principle. And I'm also a very intelligent man. And I don't like people being given bad advice. And ultimately, I will do more music reviews and movie reviews because I want to be more like Siskel and Ebert. And I want you to appreciate the kind of things I actually like. And maybe you can even see some of the things I don't like and why I don't like them. There you go. So that's the shift in strategy. And will I continue doing educational videos? Sure. But I'll do more of them if you guys get my partnership back. If you, Danny Watts, are so worried about my reputation, why don't you start hosting a watch party and get my ratings up as high as you possibly can? Remember, it's watch time, not views. Views are not important. You don't believe me? You can ask Daryl Lees and Roberto Blake. They'll tell you how views are just not important at all. You don't get that watch time up, you're finished. That channel of yours is wiped out. And that's, like I said. So, now that you've seen the shift in strategy, would I ever consider reviewing another college ladies video? If I felt I had some spare time and I just wanted to test it out again, sure. But I won't make a habit of it because, like I said, it's not helping anything. It just depends. I don't think I would do it on a regular basis though, and not ever again. It had to be something that I just said, well, I'll just do it as a whim and maybe give people a little taste of what I used to do, etc. But like I said, mostly it's going to be people that really do want to have their videos responded to, or I'm standing up for a principle or something like that. It won't be random, I promise you. Not like that. So I'm not giving up on video responses. I just will do things differently. Very differently. Will I produce more educational videos? That's up to you. That is up to you. Are you going to get my ratings up so I can do it? I'd like to come home and do that. I'd like to write more Kindle books. I don't want to depend just solely on the YouTube partner program because it's not all that reliable anymore. So I'd like to sell Kindle books. Will you help me? And even doing these video responses, if I respond to the right people, I could put at the beginning of my video responses, hey, I got Kindle books, I got cards, go check them out. Da, 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 da. So what I'd like to see you do is support my alternate, my shift in video responses. I'm shifting it because of the new rules. Because it's now Disneyland, we have to treat it like Disneyland. And that's what I'm going to do. What do you guys think about what I said? Interesting, huh? Okay. Well, that's all I've got to say for tonight. I start my mini vacation tomorrow. I have to take care of some stuff tomorrow, and I also got to get my Kindle book written. And so there probably will not be another live stream for a while. It'll depend. We'll see. But what you should expect now is more stuff as to the review of Danica McKellar's Math Doesn't Suck book, more movie reviews, more song reviews. If I want to sit down and try to create, let me tell you something. It would take me several hours to create HTML lesson 159. It would take me several hours to create another Italian video. I could do it. It would take me time. I'd have to practice up. I'd have to know what I did before, and I'd have to go through it again. There are all kinds of videos I'd like to put up here. I just don't have the time. You want me to have the time? You've got to take the action. You've got to do something. Don't expect it all from me. You've got to do something. Get a watch party going. Get those watch time minutes up. I was impressed, like I said twice, with how you challenged me with SD-RAM versus DDR-RAM. Because you have done this, I will do the better research. I actually did find another website, and they were discussing it. I don't have all the details yet, but I will get them. How in DDR-RAM, the transistors, there are more of them in DDR-RAM, and they're in a more compressed area. Also, DDR-RAM does not use as much electricity as SD-RAM. Now, if you're not using as much electricity, you have that many transistors in such a small area, your computer architecture with that RAM is going to be different. It has to be. And it has to be more complicated, because if it wasn't, then you couldn't accommodate both things. So yes, in my original statement, when I said that DDR-RAM is more complicated, even though the base is not more complicated, having that many transistors in such a small area and then using less electricity to do this, the architecture has to be more complicated. It's only logical that it would be. In what way, I don't know. I'll have to find out, and I'll have to get back to you on that when I have the time. Right now, these next 3 days, I've got to devote to this Kindle book, and I've got to get it done because I got a PTCB test coming up, and I got to get that done too. So my time for the next few weeks is going to be rather limited. I'll do live streams whenever I can, but I wanted to answer this question. I wanted to get this over with, and now you see. Whew. All right. Well, I want to thank all of you guys who actually sat through all of this and watched this presentation. I'm sorry that this was kind of an impromptu thing. Like I said, I had just gotten off of work, just ate and got on. Okay. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week. And if I come up with something at some point, I'll get back on the air. In the meantime, you guys keep up the good work. Watch my videos. Try to get my watch time up. If nothing else, get your friends together. Let's get you to have a watch party for me. So I will be more likely to do more educational videos. And I would be more happy to write more Kindle books. I would love to write Latin Your English Dictionary. I would love to write Did You Remember Everything Part 2. Really give you some stuff to think about. You thought Part 1 was good. Wait till you see Part 2. I would like to write What's Square on a Straight Line, covering Euclid Book 10, but it's going to take time. And time is something I don't have a whole lot of anymore. So, if you really want me to do all this stuff, get a watch party going, Let's get this party going. And if you really want to help my channel out, you and your friends start flooding me with comments, nice comments for a change, and just help me out. And if no for no other reason, when you do watch my video responses, think to yourself, what can I observe? And more importantly, what kind of little things could I put in my own videos that would cause Ted to ask questions, which in turn would boost my ratings as well as his? Think about it. Because even if you're not ready to post videos yet, eventually you will. And if you do, I give you a lot to think about. All right. Whoo! Talk about a long video response. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.